We can think about Black Southern music. And what does that mean to listen to? What are we listening to? How are we engaging? What communities is music coming from? What communities are these local narratives coming from? How she paid attention to language and she valued Black dialects in a way where that was considered how we communicate and how we look at things now when we question people who don't necessarily talk a particular way. For her, that wasn't a lack of inability to talk, that was talking a different way. So I think what she does is she pushes us to look beyond our traditional understandings of what it means to be educated, what is education, and what is considered valued work and research and knowledge, and really pushes us to focus on what people are giving us as far as like them showing us who they are, what they engage with, how they speak, how they walk, how they talk, and the music and cultural things.
I think someone like Hurston, who was writing about that closeness, that proximity of Black people and white people and other people of color, you know, you have in Their Eyes Watching God, you have the Native American people coming by and leaving during the storm. And that gives the Black people pause, like, oh, the Native Americans are leaving, the Indigenous people are leaving, maybe we should leave too. You have those kinds of overlaps among different people. With her recognizing those kinds of things, you know, in a book that was written in the 30s, again, I think it was just extraordinarily insightful for her to be looking at those kinds of things. And, you know, all of that to me goes to place and the importance of place in her writing, but also in the way we think about the world and the future.
I feel that instructors and students should ask the question, how can I mine the richness and complexity of Hurston's life and work? And they should guard against pigeonholing her or her work. Her life and her genius exemplify the entirety of the human condition in all its complexity and contradictions. And any study of Hurston should reflect this richness.
So I think learning about and teaching about Eatonville is one, recognizing that history is an ongoing project. And when we look at historical towns, they are an ongoing project. And what does that mean for your students to learn the history of a space and know that space is still continuing on? And they may engage with a space like that too. And I think also understanding the connection between history and space is a way to push students to become their own historians in a way, and to really look at their own surroundings and communities. Also recognizing that Eatonville is one of several historically Black towns and spaces. I think it's a gateway when starting with the first one to push students to learn about other places, some that may be within their own town or community if they're not from, you know, this part of Central Florida, but maybe a different state. What other historical places are they not aware of? What other historical places can they engage with that used to exist or still exist today? And what does that mean, whether they've been erased or they've been ignored? What does that mean in their daily life? And when we think about the significance of physical place. And I think Zora Neale Hurston needs to be taught because she teaches us how our hometown, a lot of our experiences as a child and where we grow up, can also push us to do amazing things, but just naturally shapes us. It can make a child think about, you know, the things that they like to do on a daily basis or who they experience, and put into context their life and what they want for the future. Or maybe thinking about their parents or looking at their own family and personal history or community history, and maybe how that's shaped them, you know, depending on the child's age and their ability to really analyze this. So yeah, I think if we allow students to take on similar approaches as Zora Neale Hurston did, centering life and centering the lived experience, we can open them up to thinking very critically about everyday practices and everyday things that influence them and others around them.
While I think place is important, and Hurston's evocation and celebration of Black Southern life, I think is extraordinary and remarkable and provides a kind of beautiful literary blueprint for us. I also think her interest in global connections was important too. So there was specificity of place in her work, but she was also aware of those global connections, which took her to Jamaica and Haiti and Honduras. She was interested in the way we are as people of color, but also the way we are as human beings across lines of country and territory and, race and gender as well.
And looking at Eatonville as an example of, once we move past the narrative that we have traditionally taught, this town was established in 1887. What next? What happened during the Civil Rights Movement? What happens during the era of desegregation, when they went from historically their own Black insulated schools and now they're being pushed to move in different places? What happens with, the rise of development? I think all of those are in tangent with that history. And a lot of times I think that the history has a cutoff point of when we stop paying attention. So for me, I would incorporate historically Black spaces, cultural spaces in general, and put them in the larger context of the US, because they're changing and adapting at the very same time the country is adapting and changing. The same way Florida is becoming a totally different space as well. Like, they're there for these entire moments beyond, like I said, the 1920s and 40s, where usually we stop paying attention.